This is Top 30. Harvey Weinstein's wife announced she is leaving the media mogul as reports swirl about why the sexual assault allegations against him weren't made public earlier. Georgina Chapman released a statement to People magazine saying, "My heart breaks for all the women who have suffered tremendous pain because of these unforgivable actions." Weinstein's spokesperson has released a statement denying any allegations of non-consensual sex and ever retaliating against women who refused his advances. Meanwhile, there's a debate about whether NBC should have broadcast this story months ago. The New York Times broke the story about Weinstein's alleged sexual assaults about a week ago. This week, The New Yorker expanded on those allegations. The Daily Beast is reporting the New Yorker story was first pitched to NBC News, but executives there determined the story was not ready for air. An NBC source released a statement to the Daily Beast claiming that the New Yorker story did not meet the standard to go forward, and it was nowhere near close to what ultimately ran in The New Yorker. The author, Ronan Farrow, differed, and in a TV interview took the position that it was reportable at NBC.
These are your quick hits. The Utah police detective that aggressively arrested a Salt Lake City nurse was fired Tuesday. As we previously reported, Alex Wubbles refused to let Jeff Payne take a blood sample, protecting her unconscious patient's legal rights and following hospital protocol. Body cam footage of the arrest helped get him fired, and his watch commander, James Tracy, was demoted. YouTube has banned videos that give instruction on how to use and install a bump stock. The Las Vegas gunman used the modification to make a semi-automatic gun shoot more rapidly. And for the first time in 31 years, the U.S. men's soccer team failed to qualify for the World Cup. Tuesday's shocking 2-1 loss to Trinidad and Tobago sealed their fate.
Working-class Americans are spending more of their income paying back debt. Last year, those families spent more than 15.5% of all of their income on debt payments, this according to Moody's Investor Services. It is the first time the debt ratio has gone up in 7 years. Moody's warns the rise suggests a change in behavior among certain borrowers and/or lenders that may lead to further increases. The increase affects those making between $25,000 and $43,000 a year. Those households saw their income grow just 5% in 3 years. To meet the increased demand for debt, banks are loosening regulations. It should all sound familiar to anyone who remembers the financial crisis.
NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell has taken a stand, literally. In a letter addressed to NFL execs on Tuesday, Goodell said that while he believes players have the right to express their opinions, he also believes they should stand for the national anthem. Like many of our fans, we believe that everyone should stand for the national anthem, Goodell said in the letter. The controversy over the anthem is a barrier to having honest conversations and making real progress on the underlying issues. We need to move past this controversy, and we want to do that together with our players. Goodell's address comes just one day after NFL ratings were at a season low, with Monday Night Football down 17%. Stopping just short of demanding the players stand, Goodell said he will meet with team owners next week to better discuss a plan for dealing with the protests. As for the protests, Goodell said kneeling during the anthem was threatening to erode the unifying power of our game, adding that it was fueling division between players and fans. So, to kneel or not to kneel, will players respond to the commish? We'll see. The ongoing battle between public safety and personal privacy may soon get even more heated. The Justice Department signaled it could take a tougher approach against phone companies that won't give access to customers' phone data in criminal investigations. In a speech on Tuesday, Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein said negotiating with tech companies hasn't worked and hinted that the government may add more pressure on them to cooperate. The FBI and other law enforcement agencies say accessing the information on a phone is a key part of investigating criminals or terrorism suspects. But phone companies aren't giving up data on phones, arguing they need to protect their customers' private information and have used increasingly sophisticated encryption codes to do so. Rosenstein didn't say exactly what the Justice Department would do to pressure phone companies into cooperating. A spokesperson for the DOJ told the Wall Street Journal the speech was intended to spur public awareness.
Investigators say they don't yet know what started any of the fires devastating Northern California, but they have begun to explain how they became one of the worst disasters in state history. At least 17 are dead. About 20,000 people have been forced to evacuate. The chaos has been made worse by a text and email alert system that was reportedly late in sending information. More than 70 cell sites in the area were damaged or destroyed, keeping evacuees from reaching each other and delaying critical alerts. In one day, the flames north of San Francisco burned 20,000 acres in just 12 hours. That is a rate of about one football field every 3 seconds. The flames were fanned by high-speed winds over 70 miles an hour. The 3 largest fires started between 9 and 11 at night, when many residents were turning in for bed. Those weather conditions are expected to remain the same for the rest of the week, making the job of containing the fires even harder. Let's go to the New York Stock Exchange for our Fox Business Minute with Laurie Rothman. Laurie, I hear that Amazon is making a change to its subscription service.
That's right, Richard. Amazon is looking to cash in on college students. The online retail giant announcing offering students a monthly subscription to its Prime service for just $5.49. That's nearly $3 cheaper than its current membership fee. This comes just months after announcing a massive 50% discount for people on government assistance. Ticket scalping is now an investment. Prestige Entertainment is one of a handful of brokerage firms that resell tickets for higher prices. The firms use computer programs to buy up thousands of tickets to shows and resell them for higher prices. However, just last week, Ticketmaster filed a suit to try and stop the so-called ticket bots. And Walmart ramping up its e-commerce. The world's largest retailer says it's investing big bucks in a new website and lowering the number of new stores it's building. This is just the latest attempt at competing with Amazon. Richard?
Laurie, what else has Walmart been doing to keep up with Amazon?
Well, get this, Richard. Walmart has been buying up all sorts of companies to try and compete with Amazon, at least 4 in this last year alone. Now, its biggest purchase so far has been Jet.com, which it bought for $3 billion last year. Since snapping up Jet, its online sales surged 60%.
She's 8 years old, a national hero, and wears goggles. Check out Frida. She's a rescue dog that works for the Mexican Navy and is quickly becoming a rock star in that country. Frida sprung into action after the devastating earthquakes in Mexico, and the pictures of her wearing her goggles, vest, and boots have gone viral. In fact, people are selling Frida stuffed animals, and there's even a petition on Facebook to get her picture on the 500 peso bill. During her career, she's helped rescue 12 people during natural disasters, and during this latest tragedy is providing people with a sense of hope.
NASA is considering altering the DNA of astronauts it sends to space. A new proposal by the space agency says they're thinking of actually modifying the DNA of their astronauts to make their bodies more resilient to the dangers of a trip to Mars. According to NASA, astronauts on the International Space Station experience up to 10 times more radiation than we experience on Earth. So while DNA modification seems extreme, NASA thinks it could greatly protect astronauts and keep them in good health for the next trip to Mars, planned for sometime around 2030. And this all makes complete sense, because for me to even remotely consider getting on a spaceship to Mars, you would have to dramatically alter my DNA.
Some Hollywood couples are headed to Splitsville. It's time for this week's Page 6 Fix with senior reporter Carlos Greer.
We've got the scoop on all the single ladies, America's Got Talent, and 3 newly single stars on board. Supermodel Tyra Banks has announced her split from baby daddy and beau of 5 years, photographer Eric Oslaw. But this split appears to be amicable and drama-free. They're focused on co-parenting their son and will still be working together on future projects, including an upcoming photo shoot for America's Next Top Model. But one breakup that is not going as smoothly is Mel B's. Her bitter divorce from Stephen Belafonte involves everything from alleged sex tapes to threesomes and a pregnant nanny. But there's nothing like a little girl power to get you through the hard times. She was recently spotted having a good time on the beach in Malibu, looking anything but blue, with fellow America's Got Talent judge Heidi Klum, who is also taking a break from her younger boyfriend of 3 years.
Thanks, Carlos. See you next week. And for more hot news and gossip, watch Page 6 TV weekdays. Check your local listings. MSN Money is out with a new list, this time about poverty. Maybe the most shocking stat, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, 1/5 of U.S. residents live below the poverty line in 39 major U.S. cities. The top 5 cities with the highest poverty rate are Fresno, California, Las Cruces, New Mexico, Brownsville, Harlingen, Texas, McAllen, Edinburgh, Mission, Texas, and Laredo, Texas, respectively. Laredo, the most financially depleted city in America, has a poverty level of an astounding 33% and an unemployment level of 4.9%. On the bright side, since 2012, the poverty rate has incrementally dropped, with 15.9% in 2012 to 14.7% in 2015 to 14% in 2016. So let's hope this trend continues. In today's hometown stories, St. Vincent de Paul of Phoenix, Arizona is able to serve 4,200 meals a year thanks to volunteers like Shelly Oliver. Shelly told Fox 10 Phoenix, "Service to others, that's what we do." And she provides that service any way she can, whether it's chopping vegetables or mopping the floor. A retired nurse, Shelly now spends several hours a week at the kitchen. She says volunteering at St. Vincent de Paul is the best job she's ever had. For our next story, 8-year-old Spencer Chambers is a gifted musician. Wanting to provide a better future, his mom, Belinda, would borrow gas money from friends just to take Spencer to his music lessons. But thanks to the Primavera Fund, Spencer doesn't have to worry about getting a ride. The program, which enlists promising young talent, provides everything from instruments to lessons. As his mom told Fox 29 Philadelphia, it takes him to a whole different level of confidence. With Spencer's community behind him, we can't wait to see what success lies ahead. And for our final story, Gorey Elementary students in Tampa, Florida are learning the ABCs of compassion. The kids will be performing 5,000 acts of kindness in 15 days, anything from a compliment to cleaning up around the classroom. As parent volunteer Melissa Bunch told Fox 13 Tampa, "We want them to be kind and courteous and respectful to one another without having to think about it." The school's theme, "Kind is Cool," hopes to create a better learning environment, and from the looks of it, they're doing a pretty good job.
A baseball fan is suing the Chicago Cubs after he was hit in the head and blinded by a foul ball at Wrigley Field. John Luce says the impact broke his nose and several bones around his eye and left him temporarily blind. Now the 60-year-old says he could lose his eye and has filed a lawsuit against Major League Baseball and the Cubs, accusing them of negligence for not installing protective netting to stop foul balls from going into the stands. Just last month, a 2-year-old girl was hospitalized after she was hit by a foul ball at Yankee Stadium. The incident reignited the debate over extending the netting at baseball games. People argue it leads to increased protection, but others say that it blocks the view of the game. Major League Baseball has always argued that fans assume the risk when they attend a baseball game. The Cubs have not commented publicly on this lawsuit.
Oreo has cornered the market when it comes to outrageous flavors like apple pie, Reese's Peanut Butter Cup, and peanut butter and jelly. Instead of debuting their latest flavor-filled creation, the cream-filled cookie is running a taste test for fans to guess the latest mystery flavor with a grand prize of $50,000. 5 runner-ups will get $10,000, while everyone else puts on 10 pounds trying to figure out what flavor it is that they're putting into their mouth. Fans on social media seem to think it's a fruit flavor that's either Fruity Pebbles or Fruit Loops. But all things considered, I've got to say the classic Oreo is the way to go.
Potential wind energy over oceans could be harnessed by a single wind farm and power all of the world's countries. This according to a new study by the Carnegie Institution for Science in Stanford, California. Winds on land are slowed by both natural and man-made structures, limiting the amount of power that can be generated. But winds on the ocean can be as much as 70% faster. This year, one company will attempt to build a floating wind farm on a smaller scale off the coast of Scotland. They say it will generate 15 million watts of power. The study's authors acknowledge that powering the world with wind is likely to remain theoretical. It would face huge costs, technology limitations, and the need for international cooperation on a massive scale. And why would countries want to come together to make the use of completely free energy in the middle of nowhere?
A new report shows that Americans are gaining weight, a lot of weight. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention compared the average woman in the 1960s with women today, and turns out today's woman weighs on average 166.2 pounds. That's 18.5% more than a woman in the 60s, and the equivalent of what the average man weighed back then. And speaking of, the fellas aren't off the hook either. Compared with a man 5 decades ago, today's man weighs an average of 195.5 pounds, 17.6% more. So why are we gaining so much weight? Who can we blame? Well, ourselves. A study from BMC Public Health attributes the expanding waistline to 3 factors. We eat less healthy food, our portion sizes are bigger, and we generally move around a lot less. Americans are now the world's 3rd heaviest people behind Tonga and Micronesia. So not great news, but maybe a story like this is just the motivation we need to change our habits.
Many millennials are relying on their parents for financial assistance well into their 20s. And research shows it is not due to laziness or overspending. According to an analysis by Georgetown University, wages for college graduates across majors have fallen since the 2008 recession. On top of that, millennials are saddled with student loans. The average graduate in the class of 2016 had over $37,000 worth of student loan debt. Entry-level wages have not kept up with the rates of inflation and costs of living, especially in urban areas. In a major city, a bare-bones budget can see expenses topping $2,000 a month. After taxes, many millennials aren't earning enough to meet that threshold. And that is where wealthier parents step in, who often cover many of their children's monthly expenses. A moving story, that, about how the American dream is open to every single millennial who has parents with some spare cash. Researchers at Cardiff University in the United Kingdom found that those who worked remotely submitted longer hours, put in more effort than needed, and had troubles unwinding. The survey, which was comprised of over 15,000 employees, discovered remote jobs confused office-home boundaries, making it easier for professional obligations to bleed into personal life. Researcher Alan Felsted stated, remote work blurs those lines and workers have to reinstate boundaries. That is often why it is difficult for employees to switch off. Without the walls of the office, employees have to find a new way to separate their personal and professional lives. None of this research will convince me that working from home is anything other than one big jolly.
2 years ago, a Utah girl became one of the youngest people ever to be diagnosed with breast cancer. Now she's one of its youngest survivors. Chrissy Turner was just 8 when she discovered a painful lump on her chest. She was diagnosed with secretory breast carcinoma. It affects just 1 in a million. Her parents were, of course, devastated. Both had survived cancer themselves. Chrissy's father, Troy, said, "How do you tell your kid that she has cancer?" Chrissy underwent a mastectomy to remove all of her right breast tissue. It prevented the cancer from spreading and kept Chrissy from needing radiation treatment. Now Chrissy is healthy and happy at 10. She loves spending time with her family and friends and still gets cards and stuffed animals from well-wishers. Chrissy told People, "This experience has taught me to keep moving forward and never give up." Wise words, and as we're especially aware during Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we'd have to agree. Academy Award-winning director Martin Scorsese has a bone to pick with Rotten Tomatoes, and did so in a Hollywood Reporter op-ed where he accused the website of ruining filmmaking. Rotten Tomatoes is a website that sums a film into a percentage rating after compiling and computing reviews. Some people use the percentage as a measure for whether they should see a film or not. According to Newsweek, Scorsese said Rotten Tomatoes and sites like it are essentially the Zagat of the movie world and ruin the artistic merit of filmmaking. He used Darren Aronofsky's film Mother as an example of the aggregate rating system failing an artistic film because it has 68%. Scorsese said Rotten Tomatoes has everything to do with the movie business and absolutely nothing to do with either the creation or the intelligent viewing of film.
That is it for today's Top 30. Here are some stories coming up that are worth knowing about. In the wake of yet another sexual harassment scandal, People are asking why equality is so elusive for women. We'll take a closer look. Amazon wants to stop porch pirates that steal your deliveries, and a foster child finally gets some good news. It's all coming up on the next Top 30.